This is the all-new 2025 Subaru Forester. No, seriously, this is all new. Today we're out here in Montana to put its road and off-road capabilities to the test. That's coming up right now on Driving Sports TV. This is the all-new 6th generation 2025 Subaru Forester. It may not look that different from the outgoing model, but that is by design. Owners love their Foresters, and as one of Subaru's best-selling vehicles, the company is motivated to stay the course. Will this new model give current owners a reason to upgrade? Will it win over buyers that currently drive something else? Today we're going to find out as we take this 2025 Forester deep into the wilds of Montana. Cue the bald eagles. Yeah! But before we hit the road, let's check out all the features on this Forester Touring. The Touring is the most loaded version of the Forester, here in autumn green. Price as you see it, $41,390 including destination. In terms of trims, Touring includes all the Forester options. For 2025, other trims like Sport and Premium have had their feature sets adjusted to better appeal to specific demographics. Though a hybrid has been confirmed at some point in the future, this one is using the same 2.5-liter 4-cylinder boxer engine that is standard across the range. It produces a peak 180 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque. The torque curve has been modified to get peak power sooner. Now it's at 3,700 RPM versus the old model 5,400 RPM. The standard transmission is Subaru's continuously variable unit with a revised gear spread, and it powers all 4 wheels with the active torque split symmetrical all-wheel drive system. Of course, that too has also been upgraded. It now responds faster based on a variety of inputs, including wheel sensors and steering angle. Like always, this is a full-time all-wheel drive setup. There's always power going to the back wheels. Still, Subaru manages to have great economy. EPA rates it at 26 miles to the gallon in town and 33 on the highway. The steering rack is all new. It's a dual pinion design borrowed from the WRX to give better feel and reduce kickback. The chassis is still based on Subaru's global platform, but it too is significantly upgraded to make it more rigid, which improves handling and reduces cabin noise. We're talking lots of structural adhesive. In fact, this vehicle has almost twice the amount of structural adhesive as the Lexus GX. Yeah, the all-new GX. Now, I'm not saying they're comparable, I'm just saying this has a lot of structural adhesive, okay? Everybody likes structural adhesive. The exterior has more curves, but it maintains a size very similar to the outgoing 5th generation model. I think it looks good, but I think I'd be hard-pressed to say that it's leaps and bounds better than the old one. And my issue here really is the nose. It's just too fussy of a design. There's a lot going on in this big piece of plastic. I do, however, like the headlight design. Online, when we posted our first look at this vehicle several months ago, a lot of people said that it kind of looks a little bit like a Ford. And I don't think they're wrong. Roof rails are standard across all Forester trims now, but there are 2 designs. There's both the raised and the flush. However, Subaru does say that both designs are strong enough to hold a rooftop tent. Subaru being Subaru, they added more cladding to this. We have these wheel arches wrapped in plastic. Down here we have a little more cladding, and this is actually color keyed depending on the trim, so you might see a silver or bronze insert. Up here there's a vent behind the front wheel which is added from the WRX. That actually increases stability at high speeds, which is nice. Also, you might notice that the wheel wells are actually arched out a little bit more. Kind of gives it a little bit more of an aggressive look, which I like, without making the vehicle any bigger. Ground clearance is Subaru's standard 8.7 inches on this new 6th generation. Now, if you want more ground clearance, up to 9.2, you can get the Forester Wilderness. That is their more rugged off-road version. However, that is still based on the 5th generation Forester for at least another year. Now, in the back here, we do have the option of a kick sensor, power liftgate and touring trim, of course. And then in the back here, you can fit up to 29.6 cubic feet of cargo behind the second row. Fold all the seats flat for up to 74.4 cubic feet. Just a little bit bigger than the outgoing model, but still more than the RAV4. albeit slightly less than the Hyundai Tucson. At this touring level, we also get a rubber floor mat, which is nice. Under the floor, we get, oh, it's under the foam. This is a temporary spare. So let's hope we don't get any flats off-road today. We also get a power switch to lower the seats. And of course, this has the Harman Kardon stereo system, so we get a subwoofer in the back. And Subaru really has gone above and beyond on adding fun textures throughout. This actually kind of helps reduce scuffing. We also get a light up here for loading and unloading after dark. DC power. On touring trims, you also get the smart rear view mirror. The camera for it is right here in the glass. What that does is it turns your rear view mirror into a video camera. Now the benefit of that is if you're fully loaded up, you can't see out the back of your window. This allows you to see through all of that while going in reverse. So can you sleep in it? Well, yeah, this is actually pretty nice. The floor is really solid. It's mostly level enough to get by. I mean, I wouldn't move in here, but this isn't bad. Let's checking out this second row. Oh yeah, seats are pretty comfortable. It's a little bit stadium style, so I get a nice view ahead of me. This panorama sunroof is letting in lots of light. A lot of competitors have pockets, but Subaru has 2 pockets. Actually, I guess that might count as 3. And back here, I actually get 2 levels of heat, which is great. USB-A, USB-C, vents, and a fold-down armrest with, unfortunately, they added piano black to around that. Huh. It's kind of like, well, let's make it luxury. Let's add piano black to everything. But overall, it's actually pretty nice. Okay, on the inside, this interior is so much nicer than the outgoing Forester. It seems like it's kind of, it's gone to business school, it's graduated, it found a good job, and it finally doesn't look like, frumpy. Yeah, the old Forester was a little frumpy. Let's power it up. Okay, so Subaru being Subaru, the gauge cluster is basically the same as it always is. We get a pair of traditional gauges with a little multicolored digital thing in the middle. Now over here, we of course have the 11.6-inch display, and it is vertical, and this is all new for Forester. Yes, Subaru has already offered it on their Outback and their Crosstrek, and it's finally now here. For people who don't like big screens, I get it, I hear you. But I have to say, I have had a Subaru Crosstrek Wilderness for a long-term loan, and it has this same system. And even though this had a lot of teething issues when it was first rolled out for stability, the Crosstrek Wilderness has been rock solid. It has not dropped connection once, and I've put 7,000 miles on that car. So it's done a good job. Subaru's also done a good job of integrating all the stuff that you use every day down at the bottom here. Not only do we have full climate controls, including seat heaters and seat ventilators, because yeah, these are ventilated, very nice at the touring trim. You also get all the buttons for auto vehicle hold, auto start stop. If you don't want the car to stop and then restart at intersections, you can just hit that button there whenever you get in. Yes, it does reset every time you start the car. That's an emissions requirement, but easy enough to shut off. Above that, we of course get the multifunction display that handles everything that you would want in a vehicle. We can hit the home button here. We get the grid of icons, which I don't love the design of it, but the functionality is there. We get XM satellite radio, which of course requires a subscription. You also get mapping at this trim level, which uses TomTom maps, which work pretty decent. And what else do we got here? Of course, you have media integration. You get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Let's go ahead and set that up. I connect a new device, it walks me through it. Pair, allow, favorite sync. It'll ask me then for CarPlay in a moment here. Phone connected. This isn't fast on any vehicle, but once it's set up, it'll connect automatically. Use CarPlay. And now we have Apple CarPlay. With wireless CarPlay, you of course get access to all the Apple maps, which is nice. And you see it actually fills the screen, which is a nice touch. Android Auto, if you're on the latest version, it will also fill the screen. So it's a really good integration for wireless devices. And any trim that has the big 11.6-inch display also gets a wireless charger now right below that. There's actually one infotainment system that is below this, and that's a dual screen setup, but it gives you very similar functionality. Now, up top here, we do have the X mode button in the software. I did like having that little switch down below, but I can see they've cleared up space here for, you know, bottle holders, for the 12 volt and for the view camera. So, okay, I get it. And up here we have dual mode X mode. Now you get dual mode X mode on all the upper trims. The premium has single mode X mode. Base does not have X mode. X mode gives us basically more off-road capability. We'll be testing that out a little bit later. And it also integrates hill descent control, which is a very useful feature to have. This also has a rear view camera, but it goes one better with a full surround view camera, finally in a Forester. Oh, and at this point I can toggle between the different views. We have a full surround view as well as a backup view, and then we also have parking sonars in the back, which is a nice touch. Okay, so even though everything is integrated in here, we do get physical switches to handle temperature changes and defrost as well as volume. They're not done with cameras yet, because you also get a camera up here for if you're fully loaded, you can still see out the back window when you're backing up. That's kind of nice. In terms of comfort, these seats are very comfortable. They have ultra suede inserts, which is really nice. And of course, I said they're both heated and ventilated. I also get 2 memory positions so that I can set that up. And that is tied in to the user registration system. So now when I use the key that I have, it identifies my face, I sit in the vehicle, all of this will be set up to my preferences, which is great. So if you have multiple drivers, you can really kind of set up the vehicle to be unique to that person, which is, I think, actually a pretty nice feature. It's a good use of this technology. The steering wheel is wrapped with a nice matching contrast stitch. We get integrated buttons, which is the standard Subaru fare. We get paddle shifters to control the CVT at this trim level. And we also get a steering wheel warmer, which we're definitely not going to need today, because even though it's spring in Montana, it's going to be like 70 degrees outside today. But we also are going to hit snow. So it's going to be a real mixed bag in terms of terrain. We also get a large panorama sunroof. Okay, it's large in terms of sunroofs. It's not large in terms of panoramas. This is actually fairly small for a panorama, but very big for a standard sunroof. And then there's the last thing I want to talk about: safety. The chassis is not only more rigid, it also meets the newer future IIHS collision requirements, which is good. But then we also get a whole bunch of active safety here, including blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alerts. We also have the eyesight system, which has a wider field of view. And if it detects that the driver is incapacitated, it'll pull the vehicle over to safety, put on the hazards, and unlock the doors, which is a cool feature. Now, I always thought that you needed to have a touring for that because it had the driver monitor, but no, apparently that's on all trims of the Forester now. The eyesight monitoring just gives them an extra layer of data about the driver to really assure whether or not the driver is incapacitated. Hopefully we don't test any of the safety equipment today, but we are going to test the on-road and off-road capabilities of this brand new Forester. So let's buckle up and hit the trail. Actually, first we're going to hit the highway, then we're going to hit the trail. Okay, let's hit the highway. The first part of this drive will all be highway here in Montana, and highways in Montana are not slow. This is a 70-mile-per-hour leg. There are 80-mile-per-hour highways around here as well. So good opportunity to first listen to this vehicle, listen for wind noise. Oh, got to get up to 70 here. Keep forgetting 70. There's a little noise here on the A-pillar, a little bit around the mirror, but it's really not too bad. I mean, think about the class where this vehicle lives. This isn't a Lexus GX, even though it has more structural adhesive than one. This is not any other luxury competing vehicle. It is a mainstream compact crossover that is built like a utility knife. So, you know, there's a certain level that, you know, of comfort and luxury that you want, but anything beyond that is just a bonus. And I think this vehicle is loaded with bonus luxury. These seats, very comfortable, at least to start with. We'll see how they are at the end of the day. And later we are going to do a road trip video with this exact car. So we'll definitely get a lot of seat time on that one. But I would say right now it's kind of comfortable. I'm a little warm, probably because I accidentally turned on the seat warmers earlier. So let's turn on that seat cooler and see how cool it gets me. I think in terms of noise, vibration, harshness, which is the NVH level that a lot of vehicles are measured at, this actually seems really quiet. I mean, again, for a compact crossover, it does not have all-terrain tires. These are just standard road going all seasons, and obviously they're not going to make excessive noise, but it's really not bad, again, for the class. And it's definitely better than the outgoing Forester, which was a little loud on the inside. One thing I'm glad that Subaru resisted was they didn't put a heads-up display on this vehicle. And I just don't really think heads-up displays are really all that necessary. They don't really give me any benefit. I'm totally fine using gauge clusters. Now, it does have a driver monitor function, and it does make sure that I'm keeping my eyes on the road. If I cover my eyes from the sensor, it should eventually... Dang, am I not tricking it? Apparently that doesn't trick it. That tricks some systems. So that's good. But if I'm craning my neck, Nick, you look ahead and tell me if I'm going to hit something. There we go. Keep eyes on road. Don't try this at home, kids. So while we're cruising on the highway here, and we're going to be on this road for a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the adaptive cruise control, which is standard on all Forester trims. It's part of the EyeSight system. I'm going to just turn it on there, set my target speed. It won't overtake the vehicles in front of me. It'll create a gap between the two. And then I hit the little steering wheel button, and once that goes green, then it'll auto steer itself. But it's not a hands-off system. I'm only doing hands-off for sake of demonstration, so you can see how well it is steering us down the middle, which is pretty nice. This cuts down on fatigue on long trips, and the Subaru system, I think, is one of the better systems. And that's not just me. A lot of independent testing also shows that the Subaru, not just the lane centering system, but the collision mitigation system is one of the better ones on the market. Now, one of the things you don't think about that often is fuel tank size. And the Subaru here has an over 16-gallon tank, which is at least 3 or 4 more gallons than all competitors in the class. What that means is that if you drive frugally, you can get more than 500 miles of range with this vehicle, with symmetrical all-wheel drive. And the symmetrical all-wheel drive is a full-time system. Even when I'm cruising here on the highway, there's still power going to those rear wheels. It doesn't need to stop, think, and respond, albeit most of the systems these days do that fairly quickly. No, you get full four-wheel traction all the time, which is one of the reasons I'm fond of Subaru vehicles, is because you do get a full-time all-wheel drive setup. A lot of other competing manufacturers are front-wheel drive until they detect slip, and then they push power to the back. Or they disconnect the center drive shaft altogether when you're cruising on the highway, all in the name of economy. Subaru still hits very good economy. It's not the best in class, but it's very, very good with full-time all-wheel drive. And that should be commended. Now, I'm not pushing my brake pedal at all. I'm not hitting gas at all. I am merely following the vehicle in front of me, which is a generic Ford Escape. And it's doing a good job of keeping that distance as we're coming up to this gas station. Once they move off, boom, we start driving ahead. Works like it's supposed to. So the vehicle we are driving today is a pre-production vehicle, but I mean, the fit and finish are pretty good. I see a couple little things on some of the edge work, but overall it's pretty nice. Even though this is a 2025, they're actually going on sale very early in 2024. These are going to be hitting dealers in mid to late May, at least here in North America. I've now been driving this for about 45 minutes, not really that long, but it's long enough usually to kind of feel some hot spots in the seat or something like that, but yeah, I'm not really getting that. So the road is getting a little windy here, and yeah, I mean, lean is very well controlled. I can actually feel like the steering, it feels a little bit more WRX-ish because it is borrowed from the WRX. It's a dual pinion setup, and turn-in is just very nice. It's easy. It's not as sluggish as the old Forester was. I mean, the old Forester kind of felt a little bit like driving a tractor sometimes, but this one actually, it's kind of like light and nimble. Subaru also says this new steering should pay dividends on the trail because we'll get less kickback on the wheel, so we'll see how that goes too. In terms of suspension, all Foresters are basically going to feel the same, with the exception of the Sport. The Sport has a retuned setup to give a different driving feel, especially through the corners. Now, of course, the other setup, if you go with the 5th generation Forester Wilderness, that also will feel different, but that's because it's based on the older chassis. Now, when will we get a new Forester Wilderness based on this new chassis, and will it be an even more aggressive off-roader, maybe with some extra ground clearance like the Crosstrek Wilderness has? Do not know yet. Subaru is being very tight-lipped. All they've said is that a new Forester Wilderness will be coming, and we will see it next year. Now, will it be shipped as a 2025 model or a 2026 model? That, again, we don't know. If you want more horsepower in the Forester, you should probably consider the hybrid, but we don't really know anything about the hybrid. Just hybrids typically have a lot more torque off the line because of those electric motors. We should get a first look at it next year. And I actually want to talk about a little bit how Subaru has improved the seat here. What they've done is a much better job of isolating your spine in the lower section and how it attaches to the rest of your body, which reduces the amount of side-to-side sway, which reduces the amount of head movements you need to do to compensate, which reduces the amount of eye motion you need to compensate for your head motion, therefore making it more relaxing to do long drives. Now, do I feel any different in this seat? No. I mean, it feels comfortable. We'll definitely have to do a much longer drive than what we can do today, and we are going to do that with a different video, to really feel those effects. But it's one of those things where they put a lot of science into something that you really just, you don't realize is an improvement, but then you realize, oh, I just drove for several hours and I feel pretty good. Now, the same seat redesign is already in the Crosstrek Wilderness, which I have driven extensively. I've already put about 7,000 miles on our long-termer, and I find the seats in that vehicle extraordinarily comfortable for long distances, and that's probably why. So I have very high expectations for this one as a road trip vehicle. And of course it is slightly larger than the Crosstrek, which makes it a lot more practical. Road's getting a little twisty here, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off adaptive cruise. Of course, we're stuck behind somebody. Let's pop it over into manual and see what this feels like. Now, torque comes on sooner with this motor, but nobody's ever going to say Subaru's 2.5-liter naturally aspirated boxer is a fast motor. It's just not. Granted, this iteration of it does have 2 more foot-pounds of torque than the outgoing one, so it's got that going for it. I would say that it has enough performance to be perfectly capable. It's not exciting, it's not horribly slow, it's just capable. And right now I am rolling with, of course, myself. I weigh a little bit more than 200 pounds. I have my camera op who's sitting next to me. He weighs probably about the same. And then, of course, we have some gear in the back. So we're not, we're not totally empty here, but, this works pretty good. Now, granted, you're going to have some issues doing fast passes at speeds over 60. So if you want to, overtake somebody, give yourself a lot of straightaway to do that. There's this truck in front of me right now carrying a box mattress, it appears. If I was driving another vehicle that was faster, I absolutely would have passed them there. But come on, who am I kidding? This vehicle, yeah, it doesn't have enough juice to get past that truck on that straightaway. It's just not long enough. But you know what? That's okay. Off-roading around town, even just cruising, you don't really need a ton of horsepower. Oh, look at that, we get a passing lane. So I am flooring it right now. I'm doing my best here. We're slowly getting by. Okay, we eventually built up enough speed. But I'll say anything north of 70 is a struggle. This vehicle just really isn't. It just doesn't have the horsepower to really enlighten the experience. So I've dropped my camera op off by myself in the car, so we've reduced weight, and I'm going to try a 0 to 60 here on this stretch of highway. Now I'm going to first turn off the auto start stop so that it doesn't stumble on start, and I'm going to do the SI drive on S, so I have most aggressive throttle, although I promise you that doesn't do anything when it comes to a full throttle start. So let's go ahead and make sure the freeway is clear. I'm going to stop completely. And then I'm just gonna hit the throttle. And 3, 2, 1, and go. A little slow to start. 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60. Wow, that is not fast at all. So, new Forester, not really any faster than the old Forester. Not in any meaningful way. They cannot make the hybrid version quick enough because this thing really needs juice on start. It's just really slow out of the gate. It's not bad once you get up to speed. One thing that I am noticing here is that my phone isn't really doing a very good job charging. Now, I drove over here in my Ranger Raptor, and that thing was on the wireless charger the entire time. Never had an issue. But this one, it seems to keep shutting off. Since I worked on the Raptor, I know it's not the case. Of course, now it's actually charging. And it shut off. There we go. So charges for a few minutes and then it stops charging. It's kind of annoying. That has actually been my experience with the Subaru charge pads. They just aren't very, well, good. So let's get off of this highway and see how this vehicle does when the trail gets a little rough. And I've been told that there's actually snow in spots. So that's going to be interesting because we're just on standard all-season tires, which of course are pretty much only good when things are dry and wet. That's about it. So anyway, let's have some fun. So we got 10 miles of dirt roads. And at the end of our run here will be a ghost town. Love a ghost town. So I have to be really careful here because I am rolling on just standard street tires. So not only do they lack grip, they also aren't really puncture resistant. So I have to be really careful I don't hit any errant rocks. And there are lots of errant rocks on this course. And I'm also not going to turn off traction control simply because that would be considered rude for Subaru. And also most people aren't going to do that. You want the traction systems to be able to, do their thing. And so Subaru says that the symmetrical all-wheel drive has been revised in this vehicle to actually be more responsive. Can I absolutely say it is? Well, no, but I do find it is very responsive and really good at putting that power down. And it doesn't really let me get too crossed up. As you can see, I try to go sideways. I mean, you can kind of almost force it, but it really doesn't want to go. Yeah, the safety systems clamp down because this is not a rally car, but you can kind of have some rally style fun with it. And that is, of course, a major appeal for certain buyers of the Subaru vehicles. And this one, yeah, it still has that spirit of a rally car, but it just isn't, it's not set up for that. Where is that traction control button, by the way? So if I go into the menu here, go watch that big rock. There is a car menu, and then in the car menu I can turn off VDC, and that should give us a little bit more leeway, but still prevent us from completely losing the plot. So let's do that loop again and see how different this feels. In the corner, oop, that's a big rock. Got big 19s here. Now I don't have a ton of horsepower, so I can't really power out of the corners because there's just not enough there. But it is still fun. Gonna watch this spot. Okay, a little bit there, not too bad. Man, this thing just feels in its element here. Whew, go a little sideways. Yeah, it still clamps down. Even with dynamics control off, it only lets me get just about that much off of center. So you can have fun and feel like, yeah, you're not gonna kill yourself. That's nice. Woohoo! The suspension is really good for this thing. I mean, it's dialed in for these fun little smooth forest roads. It's really great. And the new steering rack gives me much better feel in the corners here. Woohoo! Ha! See if we can get a little bit of a flick here. A little bit. Throttle, throw the weight around the other side. Boom. Come on, power. It's fun. But also, I mean, the car feels remarkably put together. It feels really great. Oh yeah, things are gonna get rougher here. Oh boy, yeah, this is not slippity-doo-dah territory. Also, I have to be really careful for sharp rocks with these 19-inch wheels and very little sidewall on standard ply street tires. Now, I do want to point out, this is not the wilderness version of the Forester. This is a standard Forester. And these are the kind of roads where Subaru's like, yeah, drive on that with street tires. We're good. Oh. I feel confident because Nick, my camera op, is on the exposure side, so I can't see down. I mean, Subaru always likes to talk about the Forester as being the Swiss Army knife of crossovers. Great on the street, hits a rally stage, it's fun to drive, and it can also tackle stuff like this, like it just doesn't care. Any underbody protection on this? Nah, not really. If we hit up a rock, could it cause some damage? Yeah, probably. Oh, we are gaining elevation fast. Oh, there we go. You know, the shocks do a really good job of damping some of these harder impacts. It's not beating me up as much as I would expect. Again, keep in mind, this is standard suspension. There's nothing special. There's no adaptive shocks here. Also, it's not really designed as a hardcore off-roader. It is designed as a mixed-use crossover. And I think the balance they've achieved with this suspension setup is right there. It's perfect. So ground clearance on the Forester, all the new Foresters, is 8.7 inches. And I say all the Foresters excluding the Wilderness because the Wilderness isn't the new one yet. It's just a holdover for another year. And the funny thing, the reason why the Forester Wilderness actually has less ground clearance than some of the other Wilderness models is simply because physically the production line they manufacture them on cannot handle a taller vehicle. So they went to the maximum that their production line would allow, which I think is just kind of hilarious. The restriction was only caused by manufacturing. But still, you know, 9.2 on the Wilderness Forester, that's still pretty good. And 8.7 is still very good for the class with the standard Subarus. I think one of the biggest questions is, when do you engage the special off-road modes? Would you do it now? And I would say, no, there's no reason to. Don't use that stuff until you need it. Also, most of my speeds are up around 20, 25, where that's not going to do anything anyway. So once we actually get into a tricky situation, then I can enable X mode. And that, of course, will give me extra braking capability. It'll use wheel brakes to shift power left to right. It'll also engage hill descent control. So of course I gotta be really cautious in this kind of snow and ice because I don't want to get all slippy here, right? But you know, it handles it fine, no big deal, easy. Okay, so I want to show something here with the rear view camera. Now, it's not bad, but the fact here is that I would much rather have a wide view of behind me and less view of the surround view system. Now, the way most manufacturers do it is they give you a big rear view, and then down here they give you the surround view. Subaru's packed them together in what is a really tiny space. It just seems unnecessary. Also, it's a little bit on the dark side. I've turned up the brightness maximum. Still not terribly bright. So I think that could actually use some improvement. I'm glad they have surround view. I just think it could be implemented a little bit better. Finally, there's a little ice here. Let's see what we can do for an all-wheel launch. Now this is no special settings at all. It is just normal. I'm not on X mode. I'm just gonna hit the throttle. Let's see what it does. In 3, 2, 1, launch it! Okay, now let's reset and do it with X mode on. This time we're going to try X mode, snow, dirt, and mud and see what kind of a difference we get here. Again, all four wheels are on the icy snow. 3, 2, 1, launch! Should have more power shifting side to side. Does a good job. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Now, we've tested all the different settings with this vehicle, so now we actually have something that's going to be a little bit challenging. Now, the easiest thing to do would be to go through the right side where we have troughing with the tires touching mud. I don't want to do that. I'm going to put my wheels on the left side so that we actually have really a slick surface under at least half of the vehicle. And I'm going to be in X mode, deep snow and mud, so I can keep my wheels moving. And again, these are just regular street tires. I'm going to maintain momentum. Can I get all the way up on the ice here? Oh, yeah. Oh, come on. Keep momentum going. Keep momentum going. Yes, this is what X mode is for. Deep snow and mud. Traction control isn't going to shut me down. It's going to keep the vehicle moving. Oh, and we are getting through it. Go a little bit more left there so we don't scrape. Yeah, we are hitting a little bit with that 8.7 inches of ground clearance, but we are getting through it. Come on! Come on, keep it going. Let's get all the way through. Ha! Now I'm keeping my speed, my wheel speed, at under 20 odd miles per hour, because if you go over that, it will shut off X mode and then you're back to regular driving. And boom, Subaru. So I think we've had a really good first look at this new 2025 Forester. This is an excellent little vehicle. It can kind of just take on anything, and you can also throw so much stuff in the back. So now we are going to go on a journey back to Western Washington, because we're going to do a road trip with this. That will be coming up in a totally new video. So for right now, I'm going to close this one out. For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Douthit. I hope you enjoyed my first look at the 2025 Subaru Forester. This will go on sale within the next month, so if you're interested, go check it out. Also, please hit subscribe, post a comment below if you have any questions. We do look at all of them. For Driving Sports TV, I'm Ryan Douthit. Thanks for watching.